I don't think they fucking play the game or the characters they touch. I don't. Ironically, I'm the science guy telling you that you're missing the art here. All these heroes that people claim that you'd have to rework massively all fit in better in 6v6 right now, balanced by community members. We're gonna react to this video where it says Flats discusses the state of Overwatch after the dev interview. Now, I had to leave early, so I could not end up seeing what Flats said at the end because I had to go to a Mindplex playtest that I could not miss. So let's see what this says.
Of actually giving us really helpful information, not just you know, dodging every question and giving us PR.
Now, what I will say here before we get into this, I think overall this interview was good. I think they definitely they didn't go into detail on some of the pain points that have Overwatch 2 has caused, where I think a big example is like counterpicking, for example. Like counterpicking is a very flexible skill part of the game. Yes, that's true. That's not the issue people have. The issue people have is when you have one super tank and every stat is significantly better, you can't outskill the bad matchups nearly as well. But when everyone's stats were lower and every hero could make more plays on each other, it was more about the execution. But the execution element is now significantly reduced. And you guys can see it in my unranked GM Orisa, like, for example, playing into a Zarya. I would call out the exact moments to Zarya, who was in Diamond. Like, I've been a GM1 player for like years now, like, 5 or 6 years. I was calling out the exact moments he misplayed, but because the stats of his base health and his abilities were so strong, and also support abilities were also so strong, there wasn't actually a window of opportunity for me. Oh my goodness. There wasn't a window of opportunity for me to get a kill when it would have been there in Overwatch 1. And what ruined Overwatch 1 was all of the abilities that denied windows of vulnerabilities for players making mistakes. It's the exact same problem in both games, right? Though this time it's caused by the format, when previously it was caused by a limited amount of characters: Baptiste, Brigitte, Orisa, and Sigma. So, yeah.
Crap. So, thank you guys. I really appreciate it a lot.
All right. Cheers. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Let's see Flat's thoughts.
Thank you very much. Peace out.
But I do think, to be clear, I do think it was a good interview. I really do think Aaron and them did a good job. I do. Oh.
Okay. Fix all my overlays and stuff. Me up that one today. A lot of good, I would say. I definitely was tempted to push him a little bit on a couple of the questions, but I don't want to get him in trouble. Because it sounds like they understand.
I don't think they do.
People are not thrilled, even though sometimes maybe they might not be able to put where that feeling comes from, right?
I don't think it's the issue of people not being thrilled. Well, people are there's a lot of people who just want 6v6 back. I'm not 100% sure they completely understand the actual root issues, though. I'm not sold on that. I'm not sold on that.
And it's like, you got to keep innovating. You got to keep improving. You got to keep pushing things further, because even if you're happy with where things are, right, like in this exact moment, you can end up becoming complacent.
Yeah.
If you become complacent, then kind of how you fall off, right? I don't think that they're going to be complacent. I think they're going to probably keep pushing stuff forward. But there was some interesting things they said, like, as opposed to, they don't want to just put stuff in just to put stuff in, right? I think Season 9 is a good example of, like, oh man, that can cause some problems, right? When you put in some huge or some changes.
Guys, by the way, in hindsight, Season 9 was not good for the game. Like, so many breakpoints got changed that still haven't been fixed. Like, Dragon Blade's still horrible. Like, the problem with the game was never the health. Like, changing health pools, and there's a clip of Josh Snow saying this years ago. It's like, we really want to avoid changing health pools and doing all these things, right? And this is why, like, a ton of hero interactions that I loved that made a lot of heroes viable at high level play are not, like, Mei not being able to one-shot Tracer. And Mei's decent now, she's better, but she's not nearly as good as she was from season, like, 3 to season 8. She's just been left behind in that regard, right? And, I get, look, I know it's Mei. People think Mei is a very, very cornball character, but, like, Tracer has dominated this game, and Mei was one of the few checks in the projectile role that could actually kill her consistently. And you can't anymore. You can't. And I love being, I would be able to pick up Mei in almost any ranked game and play that because of Tracer play. And it was awesome. It was a great interaction. It's dangerous to do that. And now it feels like I'm trying to chug through so many health pools. Here's like Echo. and I know Echo's still strong, so this might be a bad example, but she only got beam width increases. She didn't actually get damage, so her time to kill is higher, you know, but you can hit more shots. But like, you know, what was so cool about Echo is that she was that glass cannon. She's not meant to be easy. But if you hit everything, you could blow someone up. But that's what made you want to log on and play her. And you still can do that. But when I'm beaming a diva, I literally can't kill her. Like, there's no option there. And so, you know, it's just, I don't know. I would revert Season 9 if I had the chance to, for sure.
And it's not great.
It also benefited hit scan heroes way more than projectile heroes.
That, with like the whole items or whatever conversation that SVV brought up. Are you satisfied with it? I'm satisfied to a point because we had so many fucking questions. We got like half or 3/4. So to be honest with you, I didn't get to do all of the ones, but I did all of the ones that I could, and I prioritized the ones that were like more, you know, popular, I feel like, because we talked about the 6v6 stuff, right? And like, is that even feasibly possible? Like, how long would it be? And dude, I'm not gonna lie, that answer was a little bit scary. That it's potentially at the best of a few seasons, which means probably 3 to 4. 3 to 4 seasons is 8 months. That's best case scenario, or year or plus. Yeah, and I don't want to go back to another Overwatch 1 content drought. That sounds horrendous. So it's like you have to choose between like, what are the two options, right? Like, do you choose between like a format that could be potentially better, but you literally don't have content for a year, and potentially have the game go into a state of disrepair? And also, if you look,
I don't think that's what they said. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't. First of all, people working on the game engine to optimize things are probably different from the engineers and people who are designing heroes. So I'm not sure that it would be a content drought. Now, you would have more limited resources to work on other projects, but here's the reality, man. And this is just what I'm going to say. It seems to me that this is okay. I am shooting in the dark here. I'm not 100% sure on the facts, so I'm just going to be crystal clear about that before I say this, okay? If I'm reading that correctly, because Overwatch 1's engine ran on the Switch just fine. Now, I have a hard time 100% believing that it's not about how the Overwatch 2 engine was built rather than the new characters. Ultimately, that gameplay should come first. You need to sit down and undo the mistake that was Overwatch 2. And if it was just a mistake, it just was a fucking mistake. It just was. We're here now, okay? We are here now. The longer that we are not able to set ourselves up from a foundation to explore new things and be successful, the worse off this IP is going to be. It just is. We would know if 5v5 was better by now. And there's a reason why you have countless people saying they're incredibly bored. Active people in the community, and it's not a coincidence. It's just not. It's not a coincidence. So, I believe the Overwatch 1 engine had much more better optimization and better graphics and lighting. I actually kind of did miss the old lighting. I think the new old icons and like the UI on the screen is a little bit better though. And like the health pools being straight bars and not slanted, I think that actually is a little bit better. I would have liked to see all these heroes in Overwatch 1's engine. Overwatch 1 worked out fine except for the lack of balance changes. Exactly. Overwatch 1 would have been fine had it continued to be updated. And it clearly was better optimized for older systems, and the fact that that is the thing that is holding back the game format, which is what literally why people log on to play the game, is the gameplay loop. It just shows how big of a mistake Overwatch 2 was holistically. And by the way, that's not flame to the dev team at all. That is not flame to the dev team at all. To me, that's all water under the bridge at this point. But they've got to commit the time to building the right foundation. Like, I don't see what would need to be more demanding in Overwatch 2 that is gameplay essential. None of it is, to be honest. None of it is. Absolutely none of it is. And again, I don't know specifically what's the deal with the engine, to be clear. I want to make that absolutely crystal clear. I don't have, like, factual information on that. But based on what I've read and what they've said, that's what it kind of comes across as. So, yeah, I'm with left thoughts.
Look at things like the Bungie layoffs this week. There's a lot of layoffs going around the industry. That's fucking terrifying, because like, what happens if like they start working on something and then the legs get cut out from underneath them, and then we get nothing, right? Yeah. Like, you not only have no content that's coming out, but then the like 66s end up not working out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many different scenarios that could play out.
Yeah,
that's a big risk. And
I wouldn't say 6v6 is a risk.
I kind of wish I could have asked them what they had in mind for the big thing, right? Like what big thing
you
do
know
they have
people want it.
or
you know people want it.
Because it sounded like they were like, we have a few things we're thinking about, right?
They
and it's
wasted
like,
2 years just to go
how
back.
hard are you thinking about it?
They wasted 2 years just to go back to OG Overwatch. And this is why I've been shouting this from the moon for over a year. Even like pre-Overwatch 2. Like really, it's kind of been, it really, guys, you know what it really has been? It's really been 4 or 5 years of me saying the same thing. Or something similar. And a lot of people, listen, a lot of people have given me a lot of shit for that. Saying I'm doing a lot of negative things. I just love the game. And I didn't want to see them waste. And you know, I don't think it's fair to say a lot of these years were wasted. Like, there are a lot of new interesting heroes. But here's the thing. Every new tank hero that's come out has not had a gameplay loop with insane skill expression. It's been worse. Look at the tanks that have come out. Ramatra is supposed to be this big brawler, but he's a block bot with no playmaking. Mauga, I don't even need to speak on. You know, I don't even need to speak on Mauga. So really, this is kind of exactly what I was saying. It's like none of this is necessary. All you have to do is fix the core design, and people will come on and play. And they'll try it. I understand queue times. But Aaron themselves admitted that they made support more intuitive to queue. Support was the bottleneck. And then what did they do? They made the support role more appealing. And they put a ton of new content into the support role to let it compete with the DPS role. So it's almost like you could have done that with Tank in Overwatch 1 and actually made the role fun. But now we're stuck in this mess. And now they're spending even more time trying to go back. And so, you know, at least for me, like, look, I don't want to say that I told you so, Carr, because I think the situation is way more complex than that. But this is what I wanted to avoid. This is exactly why a year ago I made my video about why 5v5 wasn't the answer. I would rather not see them waste all this time because guess what, guys? If this goes in to 2025, which is what it looks like is going to happen, guess what's coming out in 2025? Real competition is coming out in 2025. And they've had a lot of time to gear up because they've been running, because Activision Blizzard has been running around like chickens with their heads cut off. So, you know, I've been yapping too much.
Are you thinking about it? Are you testing it? Is it looking good? Like, where are you at?
That's what scares me.
I wanted to press them a little bit on that, but I understand that this is not the place that you would make some type of
it's not.
announcement like that. They'd probably do something on their own channels. So there's no chance in hell I would ever get something out of that. But yeah, I got to ask about the 7v7. That was cool. Talking about, you know, what it would do. From what it sounded like, though, it sounded like they've never tested it in today's Overwatch, though. They've never tested 7v7 today.
Let's not even talk about 7v7.
I think the game's evolved since then in a lot of ways. So,
they can't even handle 6v6, buddy.
The seed has been planted. Will it bear fruit? Will it even grow? Who fucking knows? But yeah, I think stuff like that is, you know, kind of important to be able to do and to talk about and, you know, figure out what we want to, you know. I love that you took that's not a no from that. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I wanted to know, have they ever tried it and it would even be feasible? Because from what Aaron said is, no, they hadn't tried it. They tried it in old Overwatch, right? If it was just, I'm just saying, if it was just a me and Aaron interview and there wasn't like other people I know SVP has to do questions, I would have said, so that's not a no. So like I would have pressured him and I would have said, absolutely, that's not a no, one. And two, you haven't tried it recently. So I would have 100% said it, but like I had to be conscious of time and be conscious of SVP, right? Like I can't clog it all up. I get that. But things to potentially think about, you know? But I mean, he did also say that you'd have to talk to like engineering stuff. It's like 6v6 could be technically as hard as 6v6. Or sorry, 6v6 could be as hard as 5v. Brain function. 6v6 is hard as 7v7. Potentially.
7v7
right?
would be harder.
Try it in the.
To be clear, 7v7 would be harder. It sounds like it might be a memory issue based on what they were saying about things taking up memory. I think I saw something about that, like how Allied Outlines and like Venture Rocks and stuff like are all stored for every player. So if you added one more player on each team, that would ramp up the memory, the memory capacity limits a lot more. So you know it would be pretty strenuous. Excuse me.
Recently, because we don't have 66 performance in line yet. Interesting. So yeah, so it hasn't been tried. It hasn't been tried. So it's like, like, but like he did say something interesting, which is not something I didn't account for, was the queue time difference wouldn't be closer to 50%, because like my logic is right. Like
supports would be
the queue difference between 5v5 and 6v6 for DPS was like it is like at 100%. It's more than double. Like the queue time for a 6v6, 5v5 DPS player and a 6v6 DPS player was more than double, according to the blog post graph. So my idea was if you had another person to that role,
on average,
you could reduce it by close to 50%. Right?
It's more than double on average. We don't know where it's at right now as this game has aged.
Like not exactly 50%, but in the ballpark. He thinks it's closer to 20 or even 10, which is much lower than I expected. But is that the difference between somebody sitting there and playing, right? Like, is someone willing to sit in queue for 4 minutes or 5 minutes as opposed to 7 minutes or 8 minutes, right?
My queues are already past that threshold.
Hard question to answer, So
I'm already in 10-minute queues every day.
I don't know. A lot of things to think about.
A couple of them are going down.
I enjoyed it though. I like that. It was fun. Makes me think about a lot of things. Try 6v6 is a double-edged sword for devs. If they ditch 6v6 after testing, many will leave. It's their last hope for a better game. You say many people will leave as if that's a fact. The thing that would make people leave more than anything is queue times, right? Because like the people who play Overwatch today are people that enjoy Overwatch. I don't think Overwatch is growing as a game. I don't think that's true. I know they said millions of people play. I don't think Overwatch is growing. I don't think so. I think that it's, if anything, maintaining or in
the thing is, those people who want 6v6 back will leave now. When Marvel Rivals comes out, they will leave. They will. And this is what I'm saying. Like, your gameplay loop, and okay, why do people play hero shooters? Okay, they play hero shooters for the heroes, for the characters, right? Okay, imagine this: Blizzard builds these like let's take hero shooters and let's make an analogy that they're like cars, right? Okay. So there's two parts of a hero shooter game, or I guess building a car in this case. One, there's the car itself. And then two, where you can drive. Because it doesn't matter how cool the car is you build if you don't have anywhere fun to drive it. So what Blizzard has done with 5v5 is they've still built a lot of these cool cars. Like Ramatra is a really awesome car. Malga even could be a fun car. Tank Doomfist is a cool car. And instead of letting them drive a really, really cool course that has all these awesome sights they can see and places to explore while driving your car and driving around, they've made the road way more one-dimensional. But Marvel Rivals is building cars that are just as cool. In fact, even wackier and cooler with more insane features because the abilities in Marvel Rivals are all nuts. But they also have a crazy track for you to be able to drive those cars around and explore whatever the fuck you want to do. So it's not just about the car you build or the hero you design in this case. It's about how that hero can express itself in the game. What its options are, what its plays are. 5v5 has drastically limited the options and exploration and skill expression and decision making a hero can make to express itself for big moments that make people enjoy the heroes they play in the genre they like. So if there's a competitor out there that has more options, that's going to attract a lot of people. It is, because that's why people play this genre. So it's a double-edged sword. Like and Ramatra in 6v6 really proves this to me. Where Ramatra is a completely different character because of how the format in 6v6 plays with an actual frontline trade that matters. He's completely different. It really is like a whole new hero got released. And if you don't believe me, go play tank in the 6v6 code in their Discord. Go do. I'm begging you guys. It is up right now. You can go see for yourself. It really is an entire new game. Junker Queen feels the same too. All these heroes that people claim that you'd have to rework massively all fit in better in 6v6 right now. Balanced by community members than they do in the live game. So it's silly. It's silly. So I do think people like 6v6ers, they will leave. They will. They will leave to Marvel Rivals. A lot of them will. Now, are they gone forever? No, because I think Overwatch can be that much more competitive. But like, there's definitely going to be an exodus. There definitely will be, because people like ultimately there is a limit to how much people care. and how much people will deal with. And you know, I can tell you that somebody who wants to make content Marvel Rivals, people will go. How much? I don't know. It's not going to kill the game, but it'll take a chunk.
Very, 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 very slight decline, right? With peaks. Like season 9 was probably a massive peak. Probably brought a lot of people back. Are we at numbers right now at the beginning of season 9? Absolutely not. I refuse to believe that. Are we end of season 9 numbers similar to where we are today? Potentially, right? Obviously you'll have peaks and valleys as content comes out or content doesn't come out, right? Yeah, of course they're not going to come out and say our game is dying. No shit. Of course they're not going to say that. No shit. Like, duh. But the point is, though,
I don't think Overwatch is dying.
FPS competitive game that is competing, especially in the free-to-play market, needs to compete for players' attention, right? And Rivals coming out is a good example of something that's going to challenge them. It's going to challenge them, and they're going to have to respond. And I don't think Rivals is doing everything great. I think that the game has some flaws.
They got a lot of shit to figure out,
but it is sort of refreshing at the same time. You can't deny that. So the point is, what this does, what FPS game is growing? Great question. I don't think any of them are growing. It just depends on their rate of decline and how often do they bring back their players. Overwatch very rarely has something that brings players back. You know what brings players back? Hero releases. How do I know the answer to that? They said it very specifically in a blog post pre-Overwatch 2. They said there's nothing in the history of Overwatch that has ever brought players back more than a new hero release. That was probably proven to not be true, though, with Season 9.
Yeah.
The Season 9 launch
it's true. The new rank
proved
system.
That it doesn't take just a new hero to bring people to play the game again.
And that's why they should bring back 6v6.
There are other things that work.
Again, like this was a point I made a while ago where I was like, listen, Blizzard, it's not just about bringing back 6v6. Like you can listen, they can do 5v5 for a season or two if they wanted to. I probably wouldn't play as much. Excuse me. And I prefer 6v6. But I'm not against them shaking up the board. I'm not. I was like, listen, the question is not about like which one's the right answer in your mind. It's about how can you play the field. If they were to do a big marketing campaign, listen. I'm begging them to get rid of the Overwatch 2 branding. Begging them. Like guys, like please stop it. Please, I'm begging you to stop it because it's just it will always, no matter what you do, when people look at the Overwatch branding and they see the 2 there, they will think about what was promised and what was failed. Oh, just be Overwatch, you know, just be Overwatch. That's what this is. There's no point for this sequel. Don't leave that mud right up on your branding. You don't have to do that. You're reminding everybody of a failed promise that doesn't need to be there. So, you know, it's silly, but it would bring a lot of people back to the game. And then you can shake it up again later if you really want to. That's fine. But like 6v6 needs to be a playable option for people. I'm telling you, people will like it. It never got the chance that it deserved. It never did.
How do you figure out what to choose of those things? Tough decision. I don't know all the data. I can't sit there and even make a decision for you because I'm not full informed. I would probably make the wrong decision because anyone who rushes into a decision like that
here's what you can do, Flats.
Without
Here's what you can do. You can make sure that you have a foundation that's built well enough for you to be flexible and move if you make the wrong decision. Having the game engine be in a state where you can change formats is pretty damn important, actually. It's pretty damn important to be able to go to 6v6 when clearly 5v5 is aged like milk. So having that flexibility is a no-brainer to have the better optimization ready. It's a no-brainer. The engine clearly wasn't built well enough. That's an easy answer in my book. You need flexibility.
Insight is probably doomed to fail, right? But I think they have a good chance. The problem, they're gonna have to be honest with themselves, and they're gonna have to just go in and they're gonna have to fucking swing the bat and try something. And I believe in this team to try something more than in the past. But I would be lying to you if I said if the game continues on its current track of 5v5 content releases with no other changes in direction, like you're not seeing cinematics come back, you're not seeing the TV shows, you're not seeing outside of game stuff, and inside of game you're not seeing you see like small events, like they brought up like April Fools. Granted, I thought April Fools was great. I thought April Fools was awesome. April Fools going to keep people playing your game? No,
it's not.
I worry that unless there's something that really moves the needle, I hate that I have to keep using that fucking phrase. God, it pisses me off. Unless there's something that completely keeps pulling them back, eventually new shiny toys will take their place. I'll give you a good example. Apex is finally doing the thing that everyone's asked for the longest time. Next season, you know what they're doing? They're nerfing aim assist on controller.
Finally!
They've been asking for that for years.
It's broken.
Years.
Broken.
You want to know why they're doing it? Apex is in arguably one of its lowest states it's been. Changing the battle pass? Oh, yeah. Well, the change of the battle pass is the Corpus side. That's not their devs. I don't think their devs have input on battle pass stuff, right? Yeah, but here's the thing. They did the battle pass change, but they walked it back. They walked the battle pass change back because they realized, oh shit, we're fucking up, right? Kind of shows you that they're a little bit scared of their players, and that's a good thing because like if the corpo overlords aren't at least a little bit scared, you're probably not gonna get what you want, you know? So I don't know. I hope to see Overwatch actually do some fucking big things, and I hope to actually swing for the fences. Cause yeah, I'm gonna just say it. Game's a great casual game. Fucking boring as shit nowadays. I'm so fucking bored of Overwatch. I have literally negative desire to play the game.
You know what's so weird? There are still high-level players really grinding and enjoying the game in Overwatch 1. But there's not nearly as many doing that now. Huh. Probably just a coincidence.
And especially playing tank, dude. I used to love playing tank. I could play it all day long. I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't even care. I don't even, like, talk about balance stuff anymore that often because I couldn't give a shit less. I think there's a lot of people that are also like me. Isn't burnout normal? There's not just me, though.
It's not burnout.
There's a lot of people that feel the exact same way that have been around a long time.
They destroyed the gameplay loop and the dynamic intricacies of the game in 5v5. Having two tanks in front of you that are both killable with significantly weaker support abilities makes the game 5 times more dynamic than if it was one super tank with giga supports. And again, if you don't believe me, go play the 6v6 code and see for yourself. I don't have to tell you. Just go play it. Literally go try it. The game immediately is 5 to 10 times more dynamic. Most of my DPS heroes have just had their identities scrapped. Be some games where I'm like, you know what? I want to play Junkrat this game and go combo people. I can't do that. Hanzo is like my most played character in Overwatch history. I don't touch him anymore because he's just like he's actually unplayably fun, like unfun. He's not fun at all. He's worse than Hitscan at everything he does. His one shot was the only thing that let him have a unique identity. The only thing. Now he's just literally a worse Ashe in every way because, like, tell me this, guys. How does Bob get the tank passive with headshot reduction and all these things when he was already better and Dragon Strike is still absolutely horrible? Dragon Strike was used all the time to what? Split tanks. But they made it move faster, and tank health pools are more. They didn't increase its damage, so it's even worse against tanks now. Like, half these changes, guys, are just changes like... Look, I'm not trying to flame the balance team here, but I don't think they fucking play the game or the characters they touch. I don't think they play. I'm sorry to flame, but, like, how is Hanzo left in the state that he's in? Without at least making his ult better. Like, these are thoughtless changes with zero understanding of the implications that happen into the game. And then they're just left there. Hanzo got the Genji treatment. Both Shimadas, the most viewed trailer in Overwatch history, have been fucking sent to the farm, dude. How do you let that happen in your game? How do you let that happen? How? If it's for a season or two, sure. But they probably look at the 50% win rates the characters have and think they're fine. No. Ironically, I'm the science guy telling you that you're missing the art here. How do I pick up on the art better than you guys? I'm science. I don't know art. And so it just sucks. And of course, it's always the fucking projectile DPS role. But the Season 9 changes just made the gap between the projectile heroes and the hit scan heroes even greater, in my opinion. It feels like that when you're doing it. I'm not saying every hit scan should get nerfed, but I'm just saying that the hit scan benefited way more from that than the projectile did. And yet the projectile heroes' ults are still just worse. Dragon Strike, Blizzard's not good. Fucking Dragon Blade is a joke post-Season 9. Dragon Blade is a joke. Riptire is still pretty good. High Noon gets its changes that make it way more flexible. Bob gets buffed. Like, come on, man. They're already better in the neutral. I guess they did buff Copy a little bit, but...
Do you think all those people are feeling burnout at the exact same time? I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences, not like that. And I know it's not just me. Some people are more vocal about it than others, but I know it's just not. I know it's not just me. I know for a fact. You can take my word for it if you'd like. Or you could not. Don't really give a shit either way. But I promise you it's more than that. It's more than just burnout. Much more than that. It's actually... The core game that you originally started to like is no longer the same.
Yep.
And especially for the tank role, specifically. Not an enjoyable experience. Not enjoyable in any way, shape, or form. That's all it is.
And
that's
by the
what it
way,
is for me. Tank's not enjoyable.
By the way, I'm going to call this right here, right now. There's a lot of people who are silently very excited for 6v6 that aren't going to say it because they don't want to get involved, right? But the second that it becomes playable and the cat is out of the bag, they'll start talking about it. And you want to know why? Look at how people, especially close to Blizzard, reacted to me talking about this. Look at the reaction that I got. Look, I'm not going to sit here and say it's because they don't want to piss off Blizzard or they don't want to do anything, but like, let's not pretend that being pro 6v6 did not directly go against the interest of Blizzard and a lot of the people close to Blizzard. Let's not pretend. Just look at how people reacted to me talking about the game format that I wanted. So I'm just saying, just so you guys know the kind of creator culture that's around and the culture around a lot of this stuff, I'm not saying Aaron or guys like that specifically. It's more so the people around it, right? That's just kind of what the culture is. And it has been like that for many years. And again, that's not like a unique to Overwatch thing, just to be clear. That's just wherever you go, that's going to happen. But that's just what it is. I'll call it for what it is. So, you know, it is risk aversion. It absolutely is risk aversion. 100%. 100%. And I've not cared about that for 5 years. And you can go look at my takes for 5 years. And you know what? Every single one of those would have aged like fine wine. How they needed to change Brig, how they needed to change Brap, that they didn't actually fix double shield, that a lot of these changes actually didn't need to happen. Then look at how these tank changes came out over the past year and a half. The game has been dumbed down. This is my biggest fear with Overwatch 2. And guess what? I was fucking right, and I will stand on that damn hill. I don't care if you guys try to make me a villain. Because you know what? I'd rather be a villain than a fake hero. In a game
I don't want
about
to sit here and
heroes,
play DPS
dude.
all day long. I don't want to play support. Not what I enjoy. Not what I like. If I want to play DPS, I'll go play a DPS game. I'll go play COD. I'll go play DPS, or I'll play Val. I'll go play Fortnite.
Don't play Valorant.
I'll go play Apex. I'll go play a shooter game. I don't like DPS in this game. I don't like supporting in this game. I always loved tank. Tank's not fun to me anymore. When I say what the burnout is, it's that. That's it for me, at least.
I mean, look, we'll just wait. I'm telling you, people aren't dumb. And people aren't dumb. They know the gameplay offering is less. They know it is. You're going to see a massive pro 6v6 wave come out when it's no longer taboo. And you don't have a lot of the top dogs that Blizzard put on their pedestal forward looking coming out here shitting on people for liking it and wanting it back. You're going to see a big change. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I just want the game to be good. And that's why I've been so willing over the past 5 years or so to come out and speak my mind about these issues and frankly predict a lot of these issues before they happen. So listen, here's what I'll say to all you guys at home. 1, thank you for all the years of support. I appreciate it. 2, I don't care whether you like me. I don't care whether you don't. All I ask you to do is look at the things that we've been talking about on this channel for many, many years and ask yourselves, okay, let's put all the drama aside. Are these core issues right or wrong? And the only thing that you all are going to be able to say about me at the end is that he never gave up on it and he just didn't sugarcoat it. Damn, he might have been loud. He might have been obnoxious at times, but maybe there was a reason for that. Maybe there was a reason for that. That's all I'll say, man. It's going to have to age like a fine wine, but you know what? Unfortunately, we can't say we didn't leave it all on the field, boys. We can't say we didn't leave it all on the field. That's what we do. And ultimately, I'll learn a lot of lessons from that, and I'll be better because of it. And that's all that really matters in the end, huh? I'll take these lessons, and I'll take them to Mindplex, and maybe 6 or 7 years later down the line, Mindplex will be one of the bigger companies in the world.